Hello. For the war in Ukraine, the Russians hired the services of the Wagner Group, a heavily armed mercenary organization which found itself fully involved in the violent fight for the city of Bakhmut. But the most important thing, from the point of view of this video, is that in the middle of this month of June of this year 2023, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced to the mercenary soldiers of Wagner that they had to sign contracts directly with Russia before July 1st. Thus, the soldiers of that organization will come into direct command of the regular Russian army. The Wagner Group was about to lose its soldiers. That announcement must have been the trigger for what happened next. This past Friday, June 23rd, 2023, the head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, published a video in which he directly accused Russia's military high command of ineptitude and corruption, including, for the first time, direct accusations against the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. And Prigozhin stated that it was the start of an armed conflict between the Wagner Group and the Russian Defense Ministry, encouraging anyone who wanted to do so to join him in the armed uprising. Shortly after that announcement, the Office of the General Prosecutor of the Russian Federation announced the start of a legal action against Prigozhin for promoting an armed rebellion against the state. But Prigozhin's call to start an armed rebellion was not all. On the night of June 23rd, 24th, the mercenary leader and a large detachment of the Wagner Group crossed the border between Ukraine and Russia and took the city of Rostov. And Rostov is not only the supply center for the entire Russian effort in southern Ukraine, but it is also the headquarters of the entire southern sector. And precisely, very early in the morning, Wagner soldiers took control of all the military installations in the city. And the other incredible event of that Saturday morning is that a column of Wagner troops left Rostov for Moscow. It could have to travel 680 miles. And in Prigozhin's words, that column was headed for Moscow to take revenge against the supreme military leaders of Russia. While the rebel column was already underway, Putin gave a televised address in which he vowed to mercilessly crush the armed revolt and accused Prigozhin of treason and of stabbing him in the back. But the hours passed by, and the response of the Russian armed forces took time to materialize. And after traveling 370 miles, the rebel column entered the city of Voronezh, and after leaving that city, the column was engaged by 2 Russian attack helicopters, and Wagner's men shot down one of the helicopters. Finally, after several hours after the fall of Rostov, at various points along the route to Moscow, the Russians began to react, digging ditches, placing barricades, and preparing fortified positions, even preparing defenses in Moscow itself. For a little longer, the rebel column continued advancing, but a mere 120 miles from Moscow, Prigozhin ordered his men to stop. And the reason for that is that the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, spoke with Prigozhin, supposedly at Putin's request, and they reached an agreement in which the leader of the Wagner Group agreed to stop their advance and to return to his base, in exchange for a guarantee of his safety and that of his men. Thus, in less than 24 hours, the armed uprising ended, with Prigozhin and his men who were in Rostov withdrawing from that city at 11 p.m. on Saturday, June 24th. And as part of that deal, no charges will be filed against Prigozhin, and now he will go to live in exile in Belarus. And those troops which did not participate in the march against Moscow have the option of receiving contracts with the Russian armed forces. Those are the facts of the rebellion that began on the night of Friday, June 23rd, 2023, against the military authorities and the President of Russia. And precisely, now let us see what are the possible consequences that this act could have on the war in Ukraine. First of all, on the morning of Saturday, June 24th, when the rebel column began to march towards Moscow, Putin declared that he will not forgive the rebels and that he will quickly put an end to the mutiny. But then, simply, the Russian armed forces took a long time to react. First, the Russians failed to move against Rostov, and then, for several hours, the column of armed rebels advanced to Russian territory. And for a long time, that column was not attacked, not even by the large Russian Air Force, nor by ground units. And without a doubt, that showed a huge lack of timely reaction of the Russian armed forces against unforeseen events. But more than anything, this event creates an enormous amount of uncertainty for the commanders and the Russian troops in the front. And precisely at this moment, the Ukrainian counteroffensive had advanced slowly, for it faces a huge defense in depth, which in some points have been reported of being 20 miles deep. Against this defense in depth, the Ukrainian advance had been slow and fighting intense in a huge battle of attrition. Up to this moment, in which I am writing this script, Monday, June 26, 2023, the Russian defense in depth has been difficult to defeat. But after the Wagner rebellion, one possible effect of this could be a huge blow to the morale of the Russian soldiers in the front. For those Russian soldiers who saw images of a column of insurgents advancing to Russian territory with impunity, it could be too much, and suddenly the Ukrainian counteroffensive could begin to gain speed. It is possible that in the next few days we will see the effects of the Wagner rebellion on the war in Ukraine. Well, I hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. That is a great help. And also, if you want to, you can support me through my Patreon account, and that is also a great help to continue creating this content in my channel. Regards, Victor Aguilar-Chang.